Hey friend, welcome to the Disney Slowdown. I'm Laura Krumzak and I am going to help you with your accommodations in this video. First, I want to talk about your budget. I know you want to do all the things, and if you want to spend thousands of dollars at Disney, you totally can do that. Our goal was always to get to Florida, have a great experience, and not be paying for it 5 years later. So it's totally your choice, but what I want you to do is take your emotions, put them aside, and let's think logically. The numbers are not going to lie to you, but you've got to kick those emotions off to the side, tell them to sit down and shut up, and I'll be with you shortly, okay? I would look at Disney or planning a Disney trip much like I look at buying a new phone or buying a new laptop. I take the money that I can save up to the point of where I'm going to purchase the item, or I take the money that I have in my hand right now and I buy it. I know it's an anomaly. I do not do contracts for phones. I do not have to have the newest phone just because somebody put out a new phone. If that's you, then these videos might not be for you because that is totally not how I do things, ever. Of course, that's a whole different YouTube channel. But if you look at Disney like that, what is my budget? What can I reasonably save up to the point of going? Look at that number and then allocate the amount for your accommodations. It's real easy to not look at the numbers and say, oh, I want to stay at this resort and I want to get the dining plan and we want to get hopper passes, and all of that is going to add up, and then you're looking at a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 week when you could go on the cheap, not include all the bells and whistles, do a vacation for half of that, maybe even less, have an amazing time, and not be enslaved to a debt for the next several years. When we came to Florida, we lived in Illinois, we had come to Florida, and actually that's what we did. We came on a Florida vacation, we bought tickets to Disney. But in that week, we took a couple of days and we stayed at the resort. We own timeshares in Las Vegas, not in Florida, but we can exchange them. So we would find a resort that the kids would enjoy. They had a lazy river, they had fun pools, they had a lot of activities, they had water slides. My kids loved hanging out at the resort, and they didn't care that they weren't Disney themed. It was a lot of fun. It was someplace different. It was a vacation. And so we were able to book a resort for really inexpensively, cook our own food. We'd spend a couple of days at the resort. We'd take a day and go to the beach. Our favorite beach is Lori Wilson Park out at Cocoa Beach. And, then we also got some tickets to Disney. So it was a great week, but that was our pace. Now, I will tell you that one of the trips when I had my oldest, who was 11 at the time, and then we had the 7-year-old boy, and then my 4-year-old daughter, who is now 16, we did that trip with them, and every single day for a year after that trip, my 4-year-old, who I took around to Magic Kingdom at Epcot, all she wanted to do was meet the princesses. And we hunted princesses, and we tracked down every single one of them, and I have fabulous pictures with her, with all the princesses. I even have a picture of her, touching Prince Eric's knee. She got right in between Ariel and Eric. She was like, okay, Ariel, you're out. I'm in, and I'm with Eric. It was the cutest thing. But a full year after we got back from that trip, every single morning, the first question out of that child's mouth was, are we going to Cocoa Beach today? Seriously, your kids are going to make memories and they're going to remember stuff about your vacation, but it may not be what you're expecting or what you are planning. So I just want to encourage you. You are a good mom. You are going to provide them a wonderful trip and they are going to make memories, but let it happen kind of organically and don't stress yourself out over having to spend all the money, because in the end, that may not be what they actually remember. And that would be a little sad if you spent, a truckload of money on a vacation and your kids are like, oh yeah, the water slide at the resort that was not Disney themed was my favorite part. Really? Why'd we even go to Disney? So let's look at some accommodations. Yes, you have Disney options. They're going to have value resorts. They're going to have moderate resorts. They're going to have deluxe resorts. So they're going to have all the options and everyone has some different perks. I'm going to find some of my favorite videos that I watch about accommodations, probably from the DFB guide because I love them so much, and allears.net. I believe they've done a few. Maybe Mammoth Club, I can't remember. I'll go back and watch them. I'll attach them below so you can do all your research, okay? I want to encourage you, first and foremost, to use a travel agent. If you don't have one, I do. I have a lady that I have used for, let's see, she booked our Disney cruise. She has booked a couple of our trips to Universal. We had passes to Universal, so I would say, hey, we're going to Universal on these days and we're going to stay on property. Can you book us Endless Summer? You know what? I could have booked it myself, but guess what? She's a mom, she's a small business owner, and I'm going to support her, and it doesn't cost me anything to use a travel agent. So I'm going to encourage you to use a travel agent if you know one. If you don't, my girl Daria is going to help you out, and I will put her email below, and she can totally help you book those tickets or whatever you need her to help you with. And I appreciate your support. Also, I appreciate your support. Subscribe, please, because this is just a lot of fun for me. All right, so back to accommodations. We are a family of 5. Well, actually, we're a family of 6. We're a household of 5. My oldest is launched. She's out of college. She's got a job, an apartment, and a cat. She's successfully launched, right? So we have a household of 5. And that's not always easy to find accommodations, even on Disney. Like your value resorts, there's only a few places and there's only a few rooms that you can get that will accommodate a family of 5. I also kind of tend to lean toward other hotels or resorts where I can either, one, cook my own food depending on our length of stay, or at least bring some like breakfast stuff, like breakfast sandwiches, frozen sandwiches, or whatever for us, or that is going to provide a free hot breakfast with protein. I'm not talking about a waffle. I want eggs, I want bacon or sausage. Fresh fruit's always nice. But if we can get that stuff included, that's high on my priority list. Disney, you're not going to have that. You are going to be buying all of your food. You can get grocery delivery of like shelf-stable items, snacks and stuff. So if you're flying in or you are just packed to the gills in your vehicle and you don't have any room, you can get grocery delivery. We have a Kroger, Kroger warehouses. We don't have Kroger stores, but you can do grocery delivery through the Kroger app and have it delivered to you. You're probably not going to have much of a refrigerator, so be mindful of that. Also, one thing about Disney, it's expansive. So the Disney property, the Disney bubble is like 42 square miles. And some of these resorts are really spread out. So if you don't know where you're booking, like you say, okay, I want to be in this resort, you could be a mile away from a bus stop, or if you're close to a bus stop and it's a really long resort, you may have 3 or 4 bus stops at that resort. Some of the accommodations, like the Skyliner, it may be down for maintenance. So you gotta be aware of stuff like that before you say, this is where I want to go. And again, that is where a travel agent is totally going to help you out. I'm telling you, my girl Daria, she can help you. So some of the other options that you have are Good Neighbor Resorts. The Good Neighbor Resorts are going to be close to, or maybe even inside the Disney bubble. There are some that are inside the bubble, but they are actually owned by other companies. And they're going to have transportation. Now, some of the transportation options, you're definitely going to have to ask that question, because a lot of them that I have seen, they contract with Mears, which is a charter bus service, and they may only go, on the hour or something. They're not going to be, it's not going to be a bus every 10 or 15 minutes. They will get you to one location, and then you can, once you get on Disney property, you are free to take any of the Disney transportation. You can take the ferry boats, you can take the bus service, you can take the Skyliner, the monorail, like that's all fine. You just have to get to a location where you can do that. If you choose to drive onto property, it's going to cost you $30 for parking. But if you're staying at a resort or a place that is less expensive, that may be worth it. And if you choose to have your car there, because you just never know when you're going to have to bail and get back to the resort with some or all of your children, it's nice to have your car handy. That's for sure. So you just want to look at that. Now, a couple of the Good Neighbor resorts I want to talk about. First of all, we got a new Drury Inn in Orlando. It's over by Disney Springs. And yes, it has the free hot breakfast. It also has the free fast break in the evening, like between 5 and 7 p.m., where you're going to get a hot dinner as well. And if you're over 21, you can also get some cocktails. You get 3 free cocktails per adult. If you're spending the majority of your time away from the resort at Disney, or maybe you do schedule in a beach day, or you're going to another amusement park, that may not be worth paying for you, because it's not likely that you're going to come back to the resort and you're going to take advantage of that extra service. So that's something to think about. The other Good Neighbor resort is called the Swan and Dolphin. There's actually two different resorts, but they are next to each other. They're right behind Epcot. I believe they're owned by Marriott. You're not going to see a lot of Disney theming, but they are nice and close. You've got friendship boats. You can walk to Hollywood Studios. You can walk through the boardwalk and get to the back side of Epcot, which is really nice. And they are somehow listed in the deluxe category. So if you happen to be at Disney, your trip coincides, and they have scheduled, I think they're called extra evening hours or extra magic hours. There's different words that they use. There are events that are ticketed separately, and then there are these extra magic hours for deluxe resort guests only. A few years ago, those hours used to be for any hotel guest. When they reopened after the 2020 closures, it was exclusive to deluxe resort guests only. But that is a hotel where you're going to be able to pay $500 maybe a little more per night, but you're going to get those extra evening hours. So that might be something to look at. Now it's more of a business type hotel. The pools are really nice over at the Swan and Dolphin. I will tell you that. I have stayed there. It's been many years. But they do have some nice restaurants on property as well. It's kind of higher end. It's more of a business, so you're going to have to pay for breakfast. But it might be worth those couple extra hours in the parks to ride some extra rides. That's your decision. One thing that we like to do is like I said, we have a timeshare. We have timeshares in Las Vegas, so we can exchange, and we will get a resort because we'll cook our own food, hang out at the resort, go to the beach. That's usually our scene. So I like those because there's going to be a lot of activities. The pools are going to be fun, and you can do all the research before you choose which one you go to and see if this is something your kid's going to want to do. They're pretty family friendly for the most part. We looked at several of them, and then we would choose like, oh, I think the kids would really like this, especially if it's got like a nice little water park area with water slide and stuff like that. All those timeshares are going to have weekly, like a weekly rotation of activities. The last one we stayed at, where were we at? Oh, we were in Pompano Beach, and they had like trivia games and bingo where you could win prizes. You could win like free ice cream or free candy or something like that. But it's just something to do. And my kids loved it. And you get a schedule of the weekly events. So that might be something that you would want to take advantage of. Also, obviously, there's going to be a lot of Airbnbs, VRBOs in Orlando. Some of them are even themed to Disney. So I believe that DFB Guide they did a video. I remember watching a video on like Airbnbs that are themed to Disney. And so I will link that in the comments below for you to watch. It'll be on the playlist. We'll have some accommodation videos for you to take a look at. I just want to encourage you to stay within your budget. It's going to be really easy to be drawn to the Disney perks. Now, what is it about Disney that you're going to get if you stay on property? First of all, obviously, all the theming of Disney, right? Second of all, you're going to be possibly close to at least one of the parks. That's not always the case. You just have to look because some of them are actually closer to Disney Springs. But you're going to have the free transportation, and that transportation is going to run, every 15 minutes or whatever. They did implement free parking now. So if you drive to Orlando and you stay on property, you're going to have free parking at your resort. And if you just choose to take your car and drive to the parks, that you also have free parking at the parks. So you're going to have free parking. If you stay off property at a Good Neighbor Resort, you might be charged for parking. Just depends on where you're located. If you do have to park at the parks, it's like $30 a day now, I think. So it's just a trade-off. I mean, if you're saving $200 on your resort room, $30 for parking is really not terrible. One of the other benefits is you do get an extra 30 minutes entry into the parks if you are staying at a Disney resort. That was never enticing to us. My kids are not rope dropping. So if that's a big deal for you and your kids can actually do it without you stressing them out and stressing yourself out, then by all means, that's a benefit that you might enjoy. If you have any questions about accommodations, ask your questions. I would love to get to know you. I would love to answer more specific questions that you might have. And I hope you find these helpful. Again, subscribe. That would be great. And the next video, let's talk about your food, right? And eating, because that's always a big deal for our family. Gotta plan your food. And if you have not grabbed the Google Spreadsheet that I created just for you to help you plan your vacation, then I will link it in the comments below, and you can just grab that and save it and start utilizing it to help you plan your trip. And I want you to focus on the numbers, okay? So, all right, we'll see you in the next video.